And so again, like this whole thing with Anne Heche, it's like they kept her alive long enough so they could make it right up to that ritual day, which is, again, the opening of the Hecatean Ides. Now, why is that important? Because on the 14th, which is the first day of the Hecatean Ides in the ancient world, that's when they started carving her up and sending her organs all over the place.
What month?
Now, August.
Okay.
August. So in the ancient world, people don't understand how screwed up paganism was.
No, they don't. Yeah, that dude, I was just talking to somebody about that. They always make you feel bad for the Aztecs when you hear about growing up, and you realize not just the Spanish and I bash Catholics quite a lot, but I wouldn't put it all on them because a bunch of other native tribes who didn't appreciate having their hearts cut out,
thousands at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so creepy.
Yeah, and I mean, Thomas Jane, who was her ex-boyfriend, had said to the press, she's going to be fine. She's doing all right. She's going to make it. And when I looked at, now here's the other thing, Kurt, I looked at the autopsy report, and her injuries did not look fatal in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they said she was badly burnt. Well, she had patches on her upper extremities.
In the video, she didn't look very, very badly burned. I have to say.
she wasn't. She had patches of second-degree burns, which is kind of miraculous, to be honest with you, because she was sitting in a burning car for 49 minutes, right? Well,
dude, I didn't know that detail until you just said it now. That's the craziest thing. That's wild, man.
It's incredibly disturbing. It's incredibly disturbing. And then the fact that the house she crashes into, the woman looks uncannily like her. And also had two dogs, right? So Hecate in the ancient depiction is you always see two dogs and a torch, right? So I started looking into it, and since a lot of what I do is I look a lot at like ancient ritual calendar and festivals and all these kind of things, and I noticed that all these points in the story sort of lined up with, what they call the dog days, Sirius, the heliacal rising of Sirius, but also runs into what's called the Hecatean Ides, which is an ancient witchcraft festival to the goddess Hecate. And that, when they started carving her up, that was like the first day of the Hecatean Ides. And in the ancient world, these people
carving who up? Sorry. What did you say? When they started carving?
When they carved Anne Heche up.
Oh, after they. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, like. We're hearing these stories like she was going to make it, and she was in stable condition and all these kind of things, and all of a sudden she's dead, and everything just didn't add up to me. Everything just seemed askew, and when you see that, there's always a cover up. There's always something else going on. And then when I think the thing that really broke through with me when I watched that video of like she's strapped to this gurney, and then she kind of rises out of it. But it wasn't even that. I mean, that's bad enough. But just the way that these firefighters were just manhandling her, and she was clearly afraid. She was clearly trying to get away. And
they're not calming her. They're not. They're like, get back in the bag. But they're not like, oh, it's okay. You're gonna be fine.
Did they think she was dead? And the other thing too is that they left her in the car for 49 minutes, which I just can't even wrap my head around.
What? I didn't know that.
Yes, she was in a burning car inside that house for 49 minutes, which is just absolutely unconscionable.
And the best part of being a Satanist, you don't got to believe in shit. Okay, believe in you. I just want you to be more of who you are.
I think that's a little bit of a con. I think they are.
That's the war. I'm not saying
spiritual. I think they're spiritual. I think this whole idea, like, oh, we don't really believe in Satan. We believe in ourselves and our highest holy days, our birthdays. I think that's all complete nonsense.
Well, how could it, dude? What I said last time when I thought I might be an atheist, I didn't dress up in a fucking Widow's Peak devil outfit and worship a goat head. I just like live my. Hey, can we just fuck? Do I got to do a whole thing? It doesn't make sense. You wouldn't do that unless you believed in it. You wouldn't do that shit. And if you're doing it, you don't believe in it, but you want to just put it on me, you're worse. You're worse.
Yeah, I hate all that stuff. Speaking of Kenneth Anger, I actually interviewed him like 20 years ago because I actually did a big article on Lucifer Rising, and I interviewed Bobby Beausoleil of the Manson family and and Kenneth Anger. And then there's somebody else interviewed, Jimmy Page, over in England.
Donald Smead says cattle mutilation was for three things: Satanism, to scare the curious away from nuked areas, and to test fast-growing tissue for radiation poisoning. Well, that's interesting. I would just file those under Satan. Just means the adversary. It's a position. It's not the name of the guy who is. It's a position.
It's the empire. So, if you read the Gospels, every time they're talking about Satan in the Gospels in the New Testament, it's referring to the state. You know, it's referring to the occupying powers. Yeah, the empire.
I had to read the Bible a lot growing up, like 20 times, not because I wanted to, and but when they say, "Oh, Satan will take over the world," no, the world belongs to Satan. You're like, "Well, I don't believe in God because the world's like this." You don't live in God's world, motherfucker. I'm just telling you the lore of the book. You don't. You live in Satan's world. That's why he offered the kingdoms to Christ in the story.
Exactly.
Because it's not yours. It belongs to the dragon, and that's why all these gross people. You know, De Vere's sad, but King Charles traces his lineage to a dragon, and Muhammad and Dracula, and these bloodlines have losers too. And, you know, because they're so dragony, they believe in Game of Thrones logic, which is like, if you're weak, you should die in the street, right? These drug people, when I see a new thing I haven't seen yet, it scares me. So, like, you think you know how drug people are, but then if you're around them, and Hunter S. Thompson said you can never turn your back on a drug, right? But I'm like, what's adrenochrome? And at the time, this before, like, you know, you'd go to that, all the druggies had a book of like pharmacy things to test to see, you know, and I couldn't find really anything on it other than it was something study as a cure, something with schizophrenia. It's a precursor to mescaline from adrenaline. Later, I looked it up and they were like, oh, it's made up. Okay. No, it's not, but they're drinking adrenalized blood out of people that they're terrorizing and torturing. So that's an old native practice, right? Then I hear that in World War II, they didn't have enough morphine or something. Some enterprising medic was taking out adrenal fluid and using it, or something where the blood that had morphine in it from somebody else, he would put in somebody. You ever heard anything like that? The three doctors that were experimenting, and Aldous Huxley came to visit one of the doctors, and they described that the dude, they were injecting it, actual adrenochrome, not, you know, a made up thing. There's a thing called that. It's a thing I'm curious about because I heard about that from Hunter S. Thompson, but the doctors that studied it, and I have to go research all these names, you know, because I couldn't find anything. Then I found something, and so I haven't fully gone into the veracity of it. But the doctor said he felt, you know, everything got like colorful, and then he felt just like a lack of, he felt more empathy to like lamps and the rug and shit than to his sister while he was under the effects. Like he'd be fascinated with objects and people he couldn't. Like, well, that's a scary thing. I never heard of a psychedelic doing that to someone. That sounds creepy. They don't go, I don't feel connected to humans after I did acid. Usually, from what I've heard from dippy hippies, is like, we're all one. But apparently, and I got to research it, the effects of this was that people felt less connected to people and more connected to shit, to stuff, is how I took it. Yeah, they de facto, and I grew up that kind of knowing that, like, if the military's de facto Satanists, everybody. I don't know what people think, like, you're a Christian and you're not. Christ wasn't about war at all. At all. Nothing about America is remotely Christian. And the reason they have this weird panicked revivals that they have is because, I can't remember who wrote this, but he goes, if a future civilization found the ruins of us, they're not going to say we're Christian. They're going to go, this is some Egyptian, Roman something culture. A coven is clothing itself in all the Jesus stuff that you think you like and whatever. They're using it as a cover and a flag. And these things don't go together. None of these things are compatible, you know, and everybody just thinks they are. And one thing I like to really get across on the derp with Kurp is the shit's not secret. It's shit you think is normal and fine. It's not comic book like. It's real basic and evil, and you watch it every day in front of your fucking face. Assholes, I watch them doing mass satanic blood rituals that you call a police action or war or whatever. They're doing it in front of your dumb face every fucking day. Okay. And the best part of being a Satanist, you don't got to believe in shit. Okay. Believe in you.